Spirit Walker Chapter 3. On the banks, none of the ravens had seen what was happening. Torak had to do something. As he stood on the stepping stone gripping his spear, he saw two people emerge from different parts of the forest. From the east came Wren, her beloved bow in one hand, a brace of wood pigeons in the other. From downriver came Finkedin, limping slightly and leaning on his staff with a bundle of dogwood sticks over one shoulder. In a heartbeat, both grasped what was happening and quietly set down their loads. To stop Oslak noticing them, Torak called out to him, "Oslak, what's wrong? Tell me. Maybe I can help." "Nobody can help," shouted Oslak. "My souls are leaking out, being eaten." Now people turned to stare. Dari's mother leapt forward with a cry. Thul held her back. Oslak's mate Vedna jammed her knuckles in her mouth. On the rock, Sayan stood motionless. Wren had reached the walkway, but despite his limp, Finkedin was there before her. Silently, he handed her his staff. "Who's eating your souls?" Torak called to Oslak. "The fish!" Yellow froth flew from Oslak's lips. "Teeth! Sharp teeth!" He pointed to where the thrashing salmon endlessly broke and remade his name soul. Torak felt a twinge of fear. That happened to everyone's name soul if you leaned over the river, and it didn't do any harm, unless you were sick, when it could make you so dizzy that you fell in. "Soon it will be gone," moaned Oslak, "and I will be nothing but a ghost. Come, Dari, the river wants us." The child hesitated, then moved towards him, clutching the pine cone auroch to his chest. Torak risked a glance at Finkedin. The raven leader's face was still as carved stone. Putting a forefinger to his lips, he caught Torak's eye. "You're between them and the rapids. Catch them." Torak nodded, bracing himself on the rock. His feet were numb and cold. His arms were beginning to shake. At last, Dari reached Oslak, who tossed away his spear and snatched him up. The wicker sagged dangerously. "Oslak," called Finkedin. His voice was low, but somehow he made himself heard above the rapids. "Come back to the bank." "Get away!" screamed Oslak. Torak saw, to his horror, that Oslak had tied a woven bark rope to the poles supporting the end of the walkway. One hard pull and the whole structure would go crashing down, taking him and Dari with it. Torak couldn't bear it. "Oslak, this is me. Torak, don't!" Oslak turned on him. "What are you? Who are you to tell me what to do? You're not one of us. You're a cuckoo, eating our food, taking our shelter. I've heard you sneaking into the forest to howl for your wolf. We've all heard you. Why don't you give up? He's never coming back." Wren flinched in sympathy, but Torak didn't move. He'd seen what Oslak had not, Finkedin limping onto the walkway. At that moment, Oslak swayed and the wicker rocked. Dari's mouth went square and he began to howl. Finkedin stood firm. "Oslak," he called. Oslak lurched backwards. "Stay away!" Finkedin raised his hands to reassure him that he wasn't coming any closer. Then, as the clan watched in taut silence, he sat cross-legged on the wicker. He was 6 paces from the bank, and if Oslak pulled the rope, the walkway would collapse. But he looked as calm as if he were sitting by the fire. "Oslak," he said, "the clan chose me for leader to keep it safe. You know that." Oslak licked his lips. "And I will," said Finkedin. "I will keep you safe. But put Dari down. Let him come to me. Let me take him to his mother." Oslak's face went slack. "Put him down," repeated Finkedin. "It's time for his night meal." The power of his voice began to work. Slowly, Oslak unwound the boy's arms from his neck and lowered him onto the wicker. Dari gazed up at him as if seeking permission, then turned and crawled towards Finkedin. Finkedin shifted onto one knee and reached for him. The pine cone auroch slipped from Dari's fist and into the water. With a squeal, Dari grabbed for it. Finkedin caught him by the jerkin and swept him into his arms. On the bank, the ravens breathed out. Torak's knees sagged. He watched the raven leader rise and edge sideways towards the bank. When he drew near, Thul grabbed Dari and held him tight. On the walkway, Oslak stood like a stunned auroch. The rope slipped from his hand as he gazed at the churning water. Silently, Finkedin went back for him and took him by the shoulders, speaking in words no one else could hear. Oslak's body slumped, and he let Finkedin lead him to the bank, where men seized him and forced him down. He seemed puzzled, as if unsure how he had got there. Torak found his way to the shallows, dropped his spear in the sand, and began to shake. "Are you all right?" said Wren. Her dark red hair was wet with spray, her face so pale that a clan tattoos were 3 dark stripes on her cheeks. He nodded, but he knew she wasn't fooled. Further up the bank, Finkedin was speaking to Sayan, who'd climbed down from the rock. "What's wrong with him?" he said, as the clan gathered around them. The Raven Mage shook her head. "His souls are fighting within him." "So it's some kind of madness," said Finkedin. "Maybe," replied Sayan, "but not a kind I've ever seen." "I have," said Torak. Quickly he told them about the Boar clan hunter. As the mage listened, her face grew grim. She was the oldest in the clan by many winters. Age had blasted her, polishing her scalp to the colour of old bone, sharpening her features to something more raven than woman. "I saw it in the bones," she rasped. "A message. It is coming." "There's something else," said Wren. "When I was hunting, I met a party of Willow clan. One of them was sick. Sores, madness, a terrible fear." Her eyes were dark as peat pools as she turned to Sayan. The Willow clan mage sends you word. He too has been reading the bones, and for 3 days they've told him one thing over and over. It is coming. People made the sign of the hand to ward off evil. Others touched their clan creature skins, the strips of glossy black feathers sewn to their jerkins. Etan, an eager young hunter, stepped forwards, his face perplexed. "I left Bera on the hill, checking the deadfalls. She had blisters on her hands, like Oslak's. I did wrong to leave her, didn't I?" Finkedin shook his head. His face was unreadable as he stroked his dark red beard. But Torak sensed that his thoughts were racing. Swiftly, the Raven leader gave orders. "Thul, Etan, get some men and build a shelter in the limewood, out of sight of camp. Take Oslak there and keep him under guard. Vedna, you're not to go near him. I'm sorry, but there's no other way." He turned to Sayan, and his blue eyes blazed. "Middle Night, a healing rite. Find out what's causing this." That's the end of the chapter. Soon be chapter 4.